Hey everybody, welcome to the Fractured Focus reaction for Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 trailer. I'm one of your hosts, Ben Gordon, alongside my brother, the illustrious, now non-bearded, Dan
Shaven.
Gordon.
Hi there, nice to be here.
Feel good?
I feel great.
God, you look so different now.
I know,
that.
I know.
You do.
I got that sweet, sweet baby face thing going on.
Hey, bring that old guy. Bring the other guy back.
He'll be back in about 3 weeks.
And coming in, live, from the vast metropolis of Omaha, Nebraska, the Matt Swinehart, the Swino. How you doing, Matt?
Good.
You got to be excited.
Excited.
You've had quite a week. You know, for our fans that don't know, or should I say our fan that doesn't know, you're quite the Guardians fan. Even before the movies came out, comics as a kid. This week at the Game Awards, they announced that Telltale, who is the acclaimed publisher that's made those Telltale series from, what they do, they did The Walking Dead, they did Game of Thrones, they did the Batman Telltale series, announced they're going to have a Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale series that they're going to put out. Then, I know, right? And then 2 days later, they announced, or they put the trailer out, which I know that they already had a brief teaser that we saw in the movie theaters, and they called this one a teaser. It did feel like a fuller trailer. It was 2 minutes. But they put out the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So obviously, since you're the primary Guardians fan here, let's go ahead and jump right into this, and let's get started with you. Are you so excited? Do you need time to compose yourself? Or are you going to be okay?
I've had a couple hours.
What'd you think?
Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, I watched that. I had to go back and watch the other teaser trailer, and it kind of puts everything together. I'm excited. I still have no idea what they're going to do with it. But they brought in Mantis. You obviously see that the group's back together. Got Baby Groot in there.
That was cool. I didn't realize that they were going to do that at the end of the first one. I thought that was just like we'd see him full grown in this one without much explanation, just because he grows back quick. But the fact that they're starting him off as a baby and growing him, that could be cool.
Yeah.
I think it'll be Baby Groot the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
In the comic books, he's been Baby Groot before in the comics.
Oh, this isn't something new.
No.
Okay.
I'm excited to see what happens. I mean, I have a bunch of ideas going through my head because with adding Mantis, I'm wondering if there's other people that are going to show up. Adam Warlock, Quasar. Those people were the real people for the reboot when they did it in like 2008, when they started Guardians of the Galaxy again. When Peter Quill was part of it, when Gamora, Drax, when that team came together, it also included Adam Warlock and Quasar. Sorry, I blanked on the name. But there's also a huge part in there where it was Nova.
Mm-hmm.
So Nova was in it. And then with Mantis, they can kind of go into a storyline that they had in that comic book series where it was called War of Kings. But that actually had the Inhumans in it.
Now, is Mantis a good guy? Who's Mantis?
Mantis is the girl at the end of the trailer that touches his arm.
Oh, okay.
And then tells him that.
Oh, and he says, "Oh yeah, you
Yeah.
expose your darkest secret. Do me, do me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's a big part of the mythology from the comic book series originally.
Yeah, she's actually big just in Marvel Comics altogether.
Okay.
Really.
Has the Guardians of the Galaxy group, the main group that we know from the first movie, has it always been those same 5 characters? Is it 5 or the 4?
Well, Matt, you could probably speak to this a little bit, but I know like they've worked in a few other characters. The only one I was familiar before like the film series was just Nova, and I think that's from watching Ultimate Spider-Man.
Who's Nova?
We haven't seen him. He's
We
just
haven't
another.
seen him.
He's a Guardians of the character, but he's not. We haven't seen him in the movie. But
Okay.
he is part of the universe. But yeah, so we have a slew of available characters that we're pulling from now. Matt, I was also curious too. It looks like we've got Kurt Russell showing up as Peter's father in this, as part of the storyline arc. Any comments as far as using Kurt Russell as the dad here?
I love him.
Yeah.
Jack Burton. Yeah, bring him back.
He was great in Furious 7.
He was, and I think he could pull it off. But I'm trying to think of who else was announced cast wise, and just your thoughts as far as expectations or hopes, or even any maybe additional characters you want to see besides Quasar or I know I'm blanking on the other one, but
Well, I was going to say, I don't know any of these names, but
Adam
I didn't know
Warlock.
anybody going into the first Guardians, and then that still sold me. They did such a good job, so I have nothing but full confidence that this will be just as good, even if I don't know who all these prospective characters are anyway. But yeah, I still want to know more of your thought, fanboy. Fill us up. Give me your good stuff.
Well, to go into Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock has been hinted since the second Thor movie.
Yep.
So when they went to the Collector and they dropped off the ether, there was a cocoon in the Collector's collection, and it's been speculated that cocoon is actually Adam Warlock.
Okay.
So I mean, it's definitely a real possibility that he could be in it. The thing about Adam Warlock is he also possesses one of the Infinity Stones. But
Is this going to be the last one that we haven't seen yet in any of the movies? Aren't we only missing one now?
Trying to think.
Well, let's see.
Yeah.
Let's go
So they
through them really quick. There's the Tesseract.
Yep.
Okay. Which is the
blue.
The blue one.
The blue.
yeah. I can't remember which stone it is.
Stone? Yeah.
The space, wasn't it like the space one? Because that's how they did the portal,
I think so.
right? The space one. And then there was the ether from Thor, Thor
Yep.
2, right? I don't know what that
I think it's the Soul Stone.
Soul Stone. Okay. Then there was, God, what else was there?
There's Loki's staff.
Which is now in Vision, right? Which is the
Yep.
Mind Stone.
Yep.
There was
Doctor Strange, Time Stone.
That's the time.
and then the one from Last Guardians,
The purple one.
which
What is the purple one?
this might be a question.
Come
for the-
on,
for the-
fanboy,
for the
let's
Whitney.
go.
I'm so,
You fucking
I wasn't ready
nerd.
to be quizzed
Come
on this.
So we don't know what the purple one is, but there's 6, right?
Yeah.
So we have
Presumably,
seen,
I thought like in the comics, there's kind of some pseudo 7 and pseudo 8 Infinity Stones out there too. I mean, I think ultimately it's however
that
many.
might give him something to shoot for, but
Yeah.
I'm assuming
However
with
many are
since
gonna
they
go
showed
on
the
the
gauntlet,
gauntlet.
I think there was like what,
5, one for the knuckles, and I think one in the middle. So 6.
and then
Yep.
one, yeah. Okay, yeah, so 6. So I'm sorry, I don't even remember where we're going. You were talking about something before where you said that someone had an Infinity Stone. Who is this? Warlock?
Warlock, yeah.
And he might have the 6th one.
He may have the 6th one. I think it kind of parallels too much what they're doing with Vision, so I don't know if they're going to bring that part of it in.
They kind of have to, don't they, at this point? Because the next order of movies, actually here, I've got the list of the chronology coming out. The next movie coming out is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 on May 5th. After that, we have Spider-Man Homecoming, which was a late addition by Sony when they did their joint venture, so I can't imagine them throwing an Infinity Stone into that story. It's probably just something where they're working to get the Spider-Man universe
It's an
into
origin
Marvel.
story, I think.
And it looks awesome. We're all excited for that. We know Tony Stark's going to be in that one. Then we got Thor Ragnarok, and then we have Black Panther. So I guess we do have 3 movies if we count Guardians. But then right after that is Avengers Infinity War, which we're assuming has to already all 6 of them have to have been found by then.
Well, yeah, possibly. They're doing the
Could be found
Infinity
in
Wars
that.
they're breaking out into 2.
They were, but then they a few months ago they announced that the second Avengers movie is not going to be called Infinity War Part 2.
Really?
Now it still might have something to do with an overall arc, where the movie will be self-contained but be part of a 2-part arc that still deals with it. But they said they are not calling it Infinity War Part 2 anymore. It's going to have a separate name that'll make sense later. This one is going to be called Infinity War, and the second one is just going to be called Avengers something else. They have not announced what it's going to be yet.
That's a long title.
Right?
It seems like
Hey,
forever.
here at Fractured Focus, we show you the funny.
Hey, forever.
Okay,
come
yeah,
on.
I know, right? No, I know. That's
All right.
awesome. So let's go into predictions here. I don't know who any of these characters are that you guys are talking about, but I didn't know who any of the characters were going into the first one. I remember when the first trailer for the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie came out, the only thing I was excited to see was another Marvel movie. Like, this didn't appeal to me at all. It just seemed so random. Here's the thoughts that were going through my head. It seems so all over the place. I don't see any character that I can immediately, at least from a trailer, feel that I or the majority of people can relate to. I can't imagine how they're going to squeal all this together so it's going to be as cohesive as the standard Marvel movie if I already can't feel a way to relate to this. And everything I thought about the movie was completely wrong because the characters were very relatable. They meshed together both not just the overall story and the direction, but the way that the actors did it very well together so that you actually cared for them. It was a great buildup of them working together. It didn't feel forced. The whole Rocket Raccoon, I mean, when they're in the prison scene and Rocket's joking around about how I was kidding, you really didn't need to take that guy's, what was his eye or his leg or something like that? His leg. That worked really, really well. And then the more you look at it, and it's easy to look backwards now with 2020 vision and say, well, I mean, think about it. You got this raccoon character that's alive. Kids and families are going to love that. You got Groot that's funny, who at the end is like this dancing bobblehead doll, and all he says is "I'm Groot," and it's very lovable. There's a lot of stuff looking hindsight 2020 where I can see how a mainstream audience like myself, that, well, maybe not like myself, I'm more of a comic and nerd fan than your average person that doesn't know any of this stuff, but for someone that doesn't get into this stuff, I could totally see why they go into that movie and want to take their family and think, that was really cool, I'm excited for the next one. So when I see stuff like this, or I hear all these extra names that you guys are throwing out that I have no idea who these people are, I have zero worry. Because let's be honest, Marvel's killed it with every movie so far. Yeah. Guardians was awesome. Chris Pratt has broken out to be a huge star, a great actor. Yeah. The characters work really well. The trailer looked so funny, and it looks like a continuation of the great rapport they had with each other. So I'm really pumped. But what are your predictions that you guys think is going to happen in this one?
Ooh, I don't know about predictions, but...
we still got time. So.
Yeah. One thing I really liked from the trailer was just how... much of a carry forward from the first movie that everything that we kind of saw that we grew to enjoy from that movie was kind of represented in here. You have the throwback soundtrack. You've got this expansive, when they're Guardians of the Galaxy, we're dealing with a galaxy here. These guys are all over the place. You're seeing all kind of different locales. Mm-hmm. You're seeing an interplay, again, similar to the first one, of just these different characters who, if you really take a step back and look at them, these people should not be together.
Yeah,
it's like they, on paper, these don't fit.
That's exactly what was going through my head earlier today when I was thinking about us doing this reaction. Is on paper, this shouldn't work. Yeah. Let alone as a movie or a comic series or whatever. It's too random and all over the place. But man, it does.
And that's just a credit to the great storytelling, the great development of these characters by the actors portraying them. Mm-hmm. It's just everybody just kind of chipping in to really make something great from. Ideally, like a concept that looks like somebody tossed it together in 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously there was more thought and development in that, even when they were developing the comics. But it's the fact that you're able to kind of take such a disaggregated group of elements and make something as great as what we're able to experience is phenomenal. And I think, like I said, the trailer represents that.
Mm-hmm. What are some of your favorite aspects, since you're the big Guardians fan, Matt, that you liked about the series growing up as a kid that they've actually put up onto the movie screen and done it well, or maybe some of the stuff that you think that they need to incorporate this time that they didn't get to the first time?
No, I thought the first movie was definitely complete. I mean, for the relaunch of Guardians of the Galaxy, it had those things. It had Peter Quill. I mean, it had snappy dialogue. And I mean, as far as for the characters being together, I mean, you're right. I mean, initially when they got put together was even before Guardians of the Galaxy. They were all in a prison together. Mm-hmm. So they kind of grabbed that in the first movie as far as for how they got Drax and all that stuff. But originally they were all in jail. Hmm. And then it's kind of, they pulled Peter aside and said, you need to take a team, you need to do this. So then he created it from there. But in that, he had actually included Mantis. Which I'm glad that they're bringing her in. In regards to it, I really don't know that I want them to follow the comics. I want it to be their own story. It already is, because it is so much different than the comics in a way. I mean, the characters are there, obviously, but the story was original. Mm-hmm. So, I guess in regards to what I would like to see, I just want to see the movie. I mean, no, you're gonna have Yondu. You're going to have Star-Lord, you're going to have Drax, you're going to have Gamora, you're going to have Rocket, you're going to have Groot. I think Mantis is just going to be more of a bit part. I think it's more that comic relief that they're throwing in there.
Let me ask you this. As far as being such a Guardians fan, we were big Transformers fans growing up. And when that first Transformers movie came to the theater, it was pretty cool. Like, they did some homages to the original. That opening scene where they introduced the Autobots for the first time and Optimus Prime introduced himself to Sam felt so much like the cartoon came to life. I still don't like the robot designs that they used. It feels like they're skeleton ant or insect creatures where half of their body's about to fall apart. That's how I still feel. I don't like what they did with that. But it felt good. And then I feel like the movies just got worse and worse. The fourth one I couldn't even stand. And I'm not even looking forward to the fifth anymore. You being a Guardians fan, as much as you are you like super obviously you like the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Are you happy with the movie? Do you think that there's stuff that they could have done better? I know no movie's perfect. Are you content with that? Does it give you more fulfillment than, let's say, Transformers did for us when we watched that the first time in theaters?
I guess the one letdown I had from the first one was, well, I guess there's two actually. Gamora is not that gullible in the comic books. She's the deadliest woman in the universe, and that's her billing.
Yeah, that's true. They did.
And Drax
in the first movie.
Yeah, and Drax is actually like, his family was killed by Thanos. He's driven by that. He's just like a ball of murderous rage. In the comic books, that's all he is. So hopefully they can kind of flesh Drax out a little bit more, make him not just this muscle-bound idiot kind of thing.
Do you think they did that to make him more acceptable and lovable, to kind of introduce when it was such a risk to get this movie in theaters in the first place? I mean, I can kind of see why they would have done that.
Yeah, I mean, his backstory is so dark that it's hard to do that.
Especially in an introductory film, it's a risk. Yeah, I mean, now I think that they have. Don't you think that now they have more clout to test a little bit more and experiment and go into some different directions that maybe they didn't feel confident in doing the first time?
Well, yeah, I think they can definitely do more development.
Yeah.
I think Peter Quill's development's there. I don't know that they have to go a lot deeper into it because they're already going to incorporate his father into it and him finding it.
Right.
So I'd like to see, Drax, Gamora maybe. The other characters, I feel like we know enough about them and we care enough about them where you don't need to start pushing things and adding new elements.
Sure.
I mean, I don't need to go and see a planet full of Groots. I want to know that Groot's the only Groot. Same thing with Rocket.
Groot's awesome.
They've been introduced.
And I'm assuming that's still Vin Diesel's voice, even
yes.
though it's still the baby voice
Yes,
that they're
is. Just run it through a synthesizer or whatever. Yeah, that's still Vin Diesel at the core.
I remember the
Best
first time I
movies made
saw
in years.
Guardians, when I found out, because I didn't know that that's all Groot says. So after I saw that in the movie, I'm like, I wonder how much money that guy got paid to just say, I am Groot, over and over and over, and have his name on the poster of the movie. Because that's cool. And his voice did work because he had that deep, growly voice. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying anybody could have done it as well as he did, but that was cool. Well, I'm pumped to see it. Are you guys pumped to see it? I'm assuming we all are.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we got quite a bit of time to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about the trailer? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget that we have an episode and a topic of the episode posted each day of the week, Monday through Thursday, where you can go ahead and try to assume that we're going to fulfill you with our subtle, or let's call it sub-witty humor, and just basically try to entertain you with our incessant rambling. How about we put it like that?
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah, set that bar as low as it'll go.
Until next time.